it's just a huge honor today to have Nicole Noble in the house. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you, Howard.
You're a D1 student at Midwestern.
Yes.
And we like to talk to people at every part of the journey. We've done 1,000 shows now, and we've done like 25 endodontists, 25 pediatric dentists. We've done every one of the 9 specialties. We've done all this about it. In the journey, I'm so honored that you came first year of dental school. First of all, that takes a lot of guts. Most people first year of dental school, I'm too scared to go on the deal. But I want you to come on because, number one, the older guys need to know how you think because they're trying to employ you as an associate when you get out of school. Everybody wants to know how everybody is in the journey. So let me read your bio.
Okay.
Nicole Noble is currently in her first year of dental school at Midwestern University Glendale campus. So I'm right here in Phoenix right now in our home. And Glendale's about, how long did it take you to drive from Glendale?
About an hour.
About an hour. And Glendale, Arizona, that's where the University of Cardinal Stadium is.
It's nearby, yes.
And the hockey stadium, Coyotes. She is an Arizona native who grew up in Shoalo, Arizona with 5 siblings. Her father graduated from University of Pacific in 1975 and opened a dental practice in Shoalo, where Nicole started assisting him during high school. She went on to pursue marriage, motherhood, and a cosmetology license. After 4 years working in a salon, she decided dental assisting was where her heart was. She was an assistant at an office in Glendale for many years, and after her divorce in 2010, she was inspired to become a dentist. She had her heart set on Midwestern University. A single mother of 3 girls, she was working part-time and taking classes full-time. It took her 6 years, an AS, BS, and MA, and 3 application cycles to finally be accepted at MWU, Midwestern University. She is truly living her dream now, and she feels very strongly that girls and women should be encouraged in sport and dental careers. She is interested in giving back to the community by working in the nonprofit realm to provide dentistry for single mothers. She strives every day to inspire her daughters to work hard and set goals to make themselves better people. Her daughters are 17, 14, and 12. And the reason I invited her to come on the show is because, oh my God, it was love at first tweet. I tweeted the speakers for the townie meeting, and this little D1 girl replies back, 10 men, 1 woman, come on, Howard, you can do better than that. And I thought, I'm already in love with this girl. So I said, you got to come on the show. So what did that tweet mean to you when you saw that?
Okay.
And how did that, it obviously touched a sore nerve.
Well, what I see lately is there's kind of a push with feminism to get more exposure in the sciences. As women, we have panels that are all men, and they're starting to call them manels because they're...
Manels.
Yeah, they're
Never
full of
heard that
men.
word. Now, are you talking about in dentistry or just in society?
Science in general, and technology, and dentistry obviously falls under that quite a bit. So there's just not enough representation of women. And so when I saw, and you did have more than 1 woman on your tweet promoting the townie meeting, but most of them were dental hygienists or office managers, but all the men were dentists. And so
all the dentists were men.
Well, yeah. Okay. Well,
all the dentists were men, and then women are on there, they're hygienists or consultants.
So it just seemed like, okay, let's, and when I tweeted that, like I said, my tweets are like a tree falling in the forest because I don't expect anyone to ever read them. It's more of a catharsis for me. And when you replied, I just about died because it made me respect you quite a bit because you're actually like motivated to change it, and you're seeing a problem and you're seeing, okay, let's fix this. And you brought me into your team to have a discussion over email, and I thought that was very amazing. So.
Yeah, I copied the tweet and tweeted to staff. The reason I did is because it was the first time I was in my whole life that I was ever I mean, I can't even say it because it's the first time I ever said the word. And but yeah, I sent that to the panel. I sent that to. I like that, Manels. I sent that to staff. So I can tell you on my journey, when I was a freshman in dental school, the senior class had 1 woman.
Right.
And you know what her name was? Everybody called her Man Woman.
Oh my gosh.
Because no one could really tell if she was a man or a woman. I mean, she was this. And then in my class, when I tell you a story, you're not even going to believe it. So my dean, through the chancellor of the University of Missouri, was under a lot of political pressure to get these classes from all white men to half women and ethnic minorities and the whole 9 yards. And basically, if he didn't have this quota of women, he was going to be fired. So on the first day of dental school, he was going to be fired. So he went into the hygiene class to the girls who have hygiene and said, hey, any of you girls want to switch over to freshman year of dental? And these girls raised their hand and they were just moved. It's because and a lot of people were really against that, but they when you tell a white male that there's white privilege, they're in complete denial.
Yeah.
And that just means they don't read, write, or have any empathy or sympathy. I mean, you got to start somewhere. And I think I just think it's a beautiful thing.
Yes.
You know? I mean, and as much as people complain about America, the women in Saudi Arabia just got their right this year to drive a car.
Right. Yeah.
And then in Iran, they're starting to take off the, what is it called?
The hijab.
The hijab.
Or the scarf.
And the first ones were arrested.
Right.
But now that they're sensing a mass movement, the government's afraid. And by the way, I'm very romantically involved with hijab. Is that how you say it?
I think.
Because I went to Catholic school. My two older sisters were nuns. They wore all that. Every time I see a Middle Eastern woman wearing hijab, I fondly think of all the nuns that taught me, my sister. I mean, my older sister Mary Kay, whose name is now Sister Anne of Yahweh, I mean, she wears the same thing. I mean, to me, it's a very familiar look.
Yeah.
And I actually like that look. You've gone to too much Catholic school when you think that's a rockin' hot look. Your freshman class, what is it? Probably half men, half women?
It's about half and half, I would say, yeah. And we have some really remarkable women in my class. It's been fun to be surrounded by such amazing people. You know, I thought I was special, and then I got into dental school, and now I'm like, these people are amazing. Yeah. They're remarkable. So
every time I go on a charity dentistry event, last one I went to was in Mexico with about 10 kids from AT Still. One for that was climbing Kilimanjaro with 4 or 5 kids from the local dental school. And you spend time in those dental schools, you're like, my God, this profession is awesome. Because leaving this profession in the hands of you kids, dentistry is probably in a better place then than it is today. I mean, and I cannot tell you how many dentists practice today and think they're all that in a bag of chips, and they couldn't even get accepted to dental school today.
Yeah, it's hard.
They got accepted to dental school with 3.2, 3.4, 3.6 average. So many dentists out there, they couldn't even get in.
Yeah, it's really hard. And I thought, with all the experience that I had in dentistry as a dental assistant, I would kind of be a shoo-in, and then I was really humbled because when I was going through school, I was, like I said, a mom, and I was working part-time, so my GPA wasn't anything to write home about. It was about 3.25. I took the DAT the first time and had about an 18, had that application immediately denied, but I kept going.
18 out of what? What is it, 32?
I think it's 30, but
30?
19 is kind of like the base. I just thought, well, I have all this experience and I know a lot about dentistry, so that should count for something, but it didn't really. So I kept going, retook the DAT, raised my GPA, got into the master's program at Midwestern in biomedical sciences, and that's when I realized that I really wasn't ready with my undergrad degree. When I did that master's program, it was so rigorous. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it prepared me for dental school in such a way that I know how to study now. I know so much more about the systems and the stuff that we're studying in basic sciences now. But it is really difficult to get into dental school now. So we're surrounded by amazing
And that's
people.
another thing that dentists are always saying, why do the dental schools keep raising their tuition and why do they keep opening up more schools? Because they can. 10 years ago, the dental schools figured out that when they raised their tuition $10,000 a year, nothing happened on the supply side.
Right.
Same number of applicants. So they thought, well, God, we're going to raise another 10,000. And you think, oh, they're immoral, they're bad, they're whatever. And then what do you bitch about? That 30 years ago, I used to send my claim to Delta of Arizona, and I set my own fees, $1,000 for a crown, they pay half. Now, Delta tells 95% of the dentists their fee, and I think that fee in my office, from Delta is like $700 or something. So, well, if you could raise your crown fee from $700 to $1,000, would you go do it? Yes. So why are you being hypocritical to the dental schools? Why do they do it? Because they can. And if every dental school raised their tuition to $125,000 a year, so it'd be $500,000 to go 4 years, they'd still fill all their classes with qualified candidates because there's that much demand. And a lot of them, what percent of your classmates is daddy a dentist?
I'm not really sure. My dad is a dentist, or
Right.
he was. I think probably if I were to spitball, maybe 20%, 15%.
Usually when I'm in dental schools, it's a quarter to a third.
Okay.
And of that, say quarter, what percent is dad paying the tuition?
I have no idea.
That's pretty high.
I would imagine.
It's pretty high.
Pretty high.
Like if all four of my kids got accepted to dental school, I mean, I wouldn't give a shit what they charge.
Yeah.
Because you just want them to go into the family business.
Right. Yeah.
And so basically what we're saying is very price inelastic. What is price elastic? That price has a very elastic effect on demand. So a Lamborghini is a great car, but at $300,000, they don't even sell 100. So what do they sell more of? A Ford Taurus, because it's $30,000. When your car is $30,000, it's the number one selling car in America. When it's $300,000, it's just some unique novel thing. So when you raise your price, or tax it or regulate it, you'll get less of it. When you lower your price, unregulate it, untax it, you'll sell more of it. It's just simple economics. So do you think, one of the reasons I want to get into the show is because if a man talks about women, he's a sexist. If an Irish guy talks about other races, he's a racist. You know, like I can't say that like black people run faster than white people. That'd be racism. But if you watch the Olympics, everyone who's ever gotten a gold in the 100-meter was not Irish. Mm-hmm. You know, so I keep hearing all these men say that now that the class is half women, it's going to change everything. Particularly, they think that the DSOs who want all these employees are going to fill it all with women because women don't want the hassle of owning their own business. They'd rather work at Heartland or Pacific or Aspen because they're going to have families and you got 3 daughters.
Right.
And so do you buy that? Because as a man, in my sexist thoughts, I'm thinking, well, the ultimate super mother would be the woman who owned her own business. Because if your kid fell off her bike and was in the hospital, you could just tell your staff, hey, cancel all my patients. Right. Or you could hire an associate. You know, I think a super mom would want to full control and own her own business. So tell me, so I'll just open ended you this. Do you think dentistry going from all males to half women, will that change the profession?
Absolutely.
And how?
Well, first of all, there's still quite a bit of inequality within dentistry. I think it was last May, the Journal of the American Dental Association posted an article that there's about, on average, a $70,000 disparity between male dentists and female dentists. And that's...
And where was that study?
It was in May of 16, I believe, or
May of 2016. In what journal?
In JADA.
In JADA?
Is it JADA?
Oh, I don't know. All I know is no one reads it because I've been published in it 4 times.
Have you?
And to this date, no one's ever come up to me and said, hey, I read your article in JADA.
It's like my tweet.
So when I was published the 4th time in JADA, I'm not making this shit up, I thought to myself, you know what? Why has no one ever mentioned that?
Right.
So I thought Sunday, well, I want to talk to my homies I went to dental school with. I mean, hell, I went to dental school 4 years, lived in a 3-story house with 5 of the funnest guys in the world. So I just called them up and just shooting the shit, hey, what up, you know, what up, George? And we're talking everything, and it never came out. So right at the end, I said, by the way, did you see my article in JADA? No, what? Oh, really? What is it? And I'm convinced that no one reads the damn magazine. Yeah. But anyway, so they said there was that male dentists made $75,000 more
on average. Yeah, and they accounted for all the different things that they could think of, like males going to specialty more, you know, oral surgery, endo, or more male dominated. Like you were saying that women may want to stay home more, and they are more altruistic. They want to go into community health more often. After they accounted for all that stuff, there was still that huge disparity. And I think it's once we get this 50-50 equity with just the amount of dentists, we'll have some collective bargaining power with the women. You know, we'll be able to demand more for pay. And the other thing that bothers me a lot is disability insurance is 45% higher for women.
Really?
But why? You know, they say...
Because you guys drink and drive all the time. You're just crashing cars all the way to work.
You know, we have lunch and learns all the time when I'm in school. The D1s, I mean, all the
Did you ask anybody on why
I ask, and they just say, oh, well, women make more make more claims. So
okay.
And
so that's
I've tried to do a deep dive on researching that.
So
and
email me that question, because we had Arizona's who's that disability attorney, a disability guy? Is Edward Comments a black-haired guy? Yeah. So email me that. I'll reply back to you with his email.
Yeah.
Yeah. There it is, right there.
This is so meta. We're going to watch a podcast while we're
on a
filming
podcast,
a podcast.
watching a podcast. This is the Twilight Zone. Yeah. So
This guy.
We'll get him in on that.
Yeah.
And that'd be a great article. Maybe you and him could write that up.
There we go.
You should write an article because. But anyway, so continue. So.
Yeah. So if you add those two things together, you
make
we're making
$75,000 a year less.
Yeah.
You pay 45% more for disability.
Right. So it's like when you think of this all the time, the trajectory of your life, when you're working 40 years, how is that going to add up by the time you're retiring? When you're a woman dentist compared to a man dentist. So I am right there with you saying women should be going for ownership for sure. There's no reason why we shouldn't. We can do that if we want to, and then you have more control over the situation. And as far as like who you employ, you can treat your employees with more empathy because, a lot of times dental assistants are female. So if you have a female doctor that you get to work for, you might have more to relate. And that's not always true. That's a sweeping generalization, but,
It's really changed. My favorite orthodontist in the world is Anne-Marie Gorsica. She's in the Bay Area, and when she went to ortho school, she was the first woman.
Orthodontist?
Nice. And she had to cringe a lot. I mean, it was a very male environment, and it was a cringing environment. And now she's so excited because now she goes to that orthodontic program, it's almost all women.
Yay!
And so when I was little, all the OBGYNs were men, and now they're all women. I'm predicting the first $1 trillion company to be Amazon. I'm projecting, I think Facebook's going to be contracting because I've already seen this rodeo with MySpace and Friendsters and all that stuff. But I'm predicting the first of the 9 specialties in dentistry to go like OBGYN did will be public health and pediatric dentistry.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. When anybody asks me what's the major difference between men and women in dentistry, lecturing in 50 countries, wherever there's a lot of money, you always find the men with suits and ties. So in America, where there's no money like teaching, it's all women. They do it from passion in the heart. When I go to very poor places like in Asia and Africa, where there's no money in dentistry, it's all women. Just like ours, all teachers. And the men show up, and when you go to the poor countries, the men want to get into the government and military, and where they get monies and titles and power. And so I think that translates back to trust. Something that no one wants to talk about in America is that women do not trust men, period. For instance, I'll give you 3 examples. If a woman's engine light comes on and she goes into the place and he says, "Oh, you need a whole new transmission." How many times does a woman think, "I wonder if I really need a new transmission"?
All the time. Yeah,
all
every
the time.
Yeah.
When you go into an oil change and it says right there outside $19.99 oil change, I got a 20. And he comes out here and he goes, "Well, we really need to change your air filter and flush your transmission." What percent of the time do you call that bullshit?
Like, I need to see the air filter. Is that actually my air filter?
There's no trust. So when a man tells you, and you're a woman, that you have 4 cavities, and you're like, "I just came in here for a cleaning." He's saying, "I can't have a cleaning. I got to have a deep cleaning. And I got 4 cavities, and damn it, I just want my teeth clean." And she's not used to communicating that with her dad.
Right.
So she just holds it in, doesn't communicate, says, "Okay," and then she leaves and she never comes back. But when it's a woman there, and it's Nicole, I say, "Well, Nicole, I just want my teeth clean. I don't think I need a deep cleaning." Well, then she's communicating, so you have engagement.
Right.
So then you can start going over your X-rays or the digitals or the periodontal or the bleeding, and I just see that in an industry where you sell the invisible, whether it's an auto mechanic, an oil change, or a dentist, Like when I go to the doc, when I go in there and they say, you know, you need this, I only go back to Lexus because the guy who sold me that car in 2004, I still have the same car. You know, when I go in there, I mean, when I first went in there, he was single. Then he was married. Now he's on his third kid. I just trust the guy. I mean, I grew up with 5 girls, 5 sisters playing Barbie dolls till I was 12. I never changed a spark plug or any of that stuff. So when you sell the invisible, I think women dentists have a huge advantage. And then when you look at the fact that the easiest way to divide the American market is half will pay out of pocket and half will only do what the insurance says.
Sure.
But half are scared and half aren't scared. And I noticed with my 4 boys, biological, I was their dad. It was all great until they got hurt. And when they come dead and they're bleeding, I say, come here. They'd run clear around me between my legs. They'd go to mom.
Yes.
And mom would kiss it, and you know, and they needed mom. So they always, when they were scared or needed nurturing or loving, it wasn't the guy with whiskers.
No.
It was soft mom.
Yeah.
And so I just think that half the market's afraid of the dentist. So if they're looking out there in dental world and saying, I'm scared of the dentist, they see Nicole and Grandpa. They're going to you.
It's a no-brainer.
And then if it's a woman who says, I don't believe you, who's she more likely to tell that to, me or you?
Probably you, if it's a woman patient.
No, if she doesn't believe either of us.
Oh, yeah.
But who is she more likely to communicate that to? Me or you?
Me.
You.
Yeah.
I mean, women should crush this profession.
Yes, we should, and we will.
And what do all women think when their air conditioner goes out and George Brazil, the most biggest deal, shows up your door, the man in a suit and tie, and says, well, I can't fix your air conditioner. You need a whole new one for $8 grand. What percent of moms say, I don't believe that?
I think all.
Yeah, all.
Yeah.
And that's something they don't want to talk about.
Right.
I mean, look at the Me Too movement. I mean, how did all these people not know about Harvey Weinstein? I mean, how was this a secret?
Yeah, it's a fantastic conversation. I'm really glad that it's happening because, like you said, you know, these men that can't see their privilege because privilege is invisible, and you don't know that this is happening all around you unless it's put up into your face sometimes, you know. And I feel sorry for my partner sometimes because he's a white man and. Your partner? My husband, I call him.
Your house friend? Okay.
Husband.
Okay.
We're not married, but we're not, you know, I feel too old to have a boyfriend, so I call him my husband.
Oh my, that's hilarious.
I made up a word. He's a white man, and, you know, he'll hear me talking about things that, you know, this whole thing, and he can't help but take it personally. It's only been in the last, year that he's stopped taking it personal. I'm not talking about him. It's, you know, this is just in general. But it's really good for men to hear about what it's like to be a woman and experience these things. And we aren't sweeping it under the rug anymore. We're actually having a conversation about it. And that's always going to be a good thing. We can start moving the needle a little bit here only when we talk about it. So I've been really happy with that.
And it's not, and the men are victims too.
Absolutely.
Because number one, when you're raised that way,
yeah.
I mean these. How many times I heard this conversation? Girl gets out of dental school, goes to work associate for the man.
Right.
Works in 3 years, buys the practice for 3 years. The old man would say to his dentist, says, "Hey, give me a cup of coffee, and can you order flowers for my wife?" So then she buys off, and she says, "Will you give me a cup of coffee?" And they're like, "What am I, your bitch? I'm not ordering flowers." And they're like, "Why was that?" Well, that's their dad would sit there in front of the TV and say, "Grab me a beer," and mom would jump. Mom, if she told dad, "Go clean the dishes," he'd laugh. So they grow that, but it's really measurable because in the United States, for the first time ever, you're seeing a decreased life expectancy for white males. In all the other European white countries, life expectancy going up, but in America, it's going down.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is the emancipation of men because you're a male. There's 7 species of great apes. There's humans, gorillas, chimpanzees, orangutans, bonobos. Bonobos is a female society. They're matriarchs. All the rest are patriarchs. We're a patriarch society.
Yeah.
So when someone says, well, why are all the presidents been men? Because we're not bonobos. But when you look at the blue whales, the little female half the size is the head, and the men swim on the outside. Swim on the outside. And women need to do a lot more research around bonobos because all the way up till the Industrial Revolution, the man went to the job where you need a man, coal mining, manufacturing, and made more money, so he felt masculine.
Right.
And those jobs are disappearing, and now his wife's making more money, so he feels emancipated.
Emasculated. Yes, there you go.
He feels emasculated.
Yeah.
He doesn't feel manly. It's biology 101.
Right.
In fact, you know how many men have said to me in private where they said, you know, it just feels weird and bad that his wife is a dentist and makes twice as much money as him. And I always say, with empathy, just don't think about it while you're vacuuming. And, you know, just put your apron back on and load the dishwasher. But so they're dying. There's suicide rates going on.
Right.
It's the opioid addiction is multifactorial. But one of those multifactorial causes that the men are losing their jobs.
Yeah.
A lot of the jobs are hiring women who have different skill sets. Your bicep and your quads doesn't matter that much in jobs. So it's tough for everyone.
I'm glad that you're talking about that, because I can kind of point everything I've found to toxic masculinity. It's kind of like my catch-all.
Toxic masculinity. You taught me manels, all men panels. And what's this one?
Toxic masculinity. It's what we see
Toxic
in our
masculinity.
It's you know, the school shootings, it's the president, you know, it's Rambo, it's the army with the NFL. The military is putting money into the NFL. It's the video games are using guns that are real in their video games. The gun manufacturers are working with the video games.
I didn't think about that, but on the school shootings, we just had another one yesterday.
Yes.
All the shooters have been males.
Yeah.
Serial killers.
They're emasculated. What you talk about when a girl breaks up with them, it's they're faced or whatever, you know. But
effaced.
Yeah. Why are they reacting like that? It's because they have been taught that they have to be the powerful, masculine, but it becomes toxic when it turns outward in violence, and that is the root of all of it, I think, because all the stuff that you're talking about. If you don't feel like a woman can earn as much as a man, why are you thinking that? Where is that coming from? Where's that thought process coming from? So
I'm Googling what % of U.S. prison population. Will you Google what % of U.S. prison population is men? What % of these gun shooters at schools are men?
99.
What % of serial murderers are men?
I don't know. I know, like, the as far as, like, and, you know, domestic violence is
the number one call.
Typically
since they started 911, the number one call, you know, you would ask a normal person on the street, and I've asked a lot of patients.
93% are male in prison.
Yeah, and 93% are male, and the 7% I've read is all because of drugs.
Yeah.
So they're all in there for
Or
a medical reason,
circumstantial.
addiction, and the men are all in there for violent. You know, you ask an innocent grandma, what do you think the number one reason is people call 911? They say, heart attack?
Choking.
Yeah. And they always think it's a medical issue. The number one reason in every state since they have 911 is domestic violence. If a woman is murdered, it's 96% of the time it's her lover.
Intimate partner violence.
And the other 4%, it was a robbery or, you know,
right.
they stole something. So if they go in there and it's a dead woman and she wasn't raped or they didn't steal all of her stuff, and Ryan, her purse is around the corner. She dropped it right behind that wall. She's a dental student. She's got more cash in there.
Nothing.
She has more cash and diamonds and gold bars.
I don't even have cash because I have kids. And you can't have both.
And so it's toxic masculinity.
Toxic masculinity is, and now that I've said that to you, you're going to start seeing it, and you're going to start noticing it when you see things on TV and when you watch movies, and you see commercials and you read articles. A lot of it points to that. So
you know, you're never supposed to talk about on a podcast or a column like my staff when I do my Howard Speaks. They edit out anything that has to do with politics, religion, sex, and violence. So I'll submit like 3,000 words, and they'll come back to 600, and I'll read it like, you know, like a eunuch wrote it. And but I do. I like some because you know, I don't argue with religion. My mom and sisters think any form of birth control is a mortal sin. If you use it, you'll go to hell for eternity. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to argue with them because it's pointless.
Right.
But so many listeners got so mad at me because I openly supported Hillary. But I only supported Hillary, because I don't believe in the Republicans versus Democrat any more than I believe in, I'm 55. One robbed the bank, one drove the getaway car. They all lie, cheat, and steal. Yeah. And I can go back there, Ronald Reagan, he campaigned that he was against this $900 million deficit.
Right, now look at it.
And then he added $1.8 trillion. Clinton said that, NAFTA has to go, and what was the other thing? And he wouldn't touch food stamps or welfare. What's the first two things he did? NAFTA and gutted welfare. In my 55 years, they all lie, cheat, and steal. And for you to say, my lying, cheating, stealing politician's better than yours, no. I don't even care. But when I turned 50, my oldest boy, Eric, made me my first granddaughter. And I had 4 boys. I grew up with 5 sisters.
Yeah.
Of my 50 employees, all my senior management are women that have been with me 20 years, except for one guy, Ken, and the programmer. And Taylor, I did not want my granddaughter growing up in a world where all the presidents had wieners.
Yeah.
And then as the MBA from ASU, I'm looking at the Fortune 500, and you can count all the women CEOs on one hand.
Right. Yeah.
And I figured they all are disgusting, vile, grotesque animals in Washington, D.C. They are. Both sides of the party have broken my heart so many times.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch the Cardinals play football. I'm not going to watch...
That's tough.
I'm not going to watch politicians, you know what I mean? But I voted for Hillary for Taylor.
Yeah.
And all these, dentists, I'll never listen to your show again. Well, whatever,
But see,
why?
That's
bullying.
Yeah,
that's bullying.
Right.
They can't tolerate another opinion. But if you ask them, are you open-minded? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, explain this email you sent to Howard.
Right.
Yeah. So, and the only people that I will argue religion, sex, politics, or violence, they're almost always haven't graduated from undergrad. It's the only time they really have an open mind is high school and college. But god dang, everybody I met at 27, 28, 29 who thought this, 30 years later, where are their thoughts?
Totally different.
You say different.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For me, anyway, I don't know. I completely changed my worldview in my early 30s, and I've seen a lot of friends that do that.
I wonder if that's more a woman thing.
Maybe.
Because my male friends, it's like, if these were your religious political views at 28, 29, 30, that's what they are at 55.
And they just entrench more as they get older.
And some of it's so weird, you talk about the Army and the NFL, this whole deal about the national anthem and taking a knee and all that.
Right.
Well, when I go see a movie, I don't want to have to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. That sounds like Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany.
It really
is. I don't want to go to a Broadway play and the first night, will you please stand for the national anthem? Why is the government in the NFL game? The easiest solution to that is get out there.
Recruiting
young boys
we don't have the draft.
Sent by a bunch of politicians whose children are never sent.
Right. Yeah.
How many presidents sent tens of thousands of boys to die who never sent their own boys to go die?
Right. Or they themselves.
So I hate, I don't want to say I hate anything, but I have almost no respect for politicians or the media. Like they'll cover 9/11 around the clock, where 3,600 people died. But in the American pharmaceutical market, where 200,000 Americans die each year in our healthcare system, not related to any disease they had, from all these big pharma, but who's all the commercials? Big pharma. You watch it and it's big pharma, big pharma, big pharma. So what do they not cover?
Right.
Why 200,000 Americans die each year, and they call it polyphagia. By the time you're on 5 different prescription medications, your diseases and complications are off the chart. And being a dentist who has taken health histories for 30 years, I can tell you when you're 65, if you're on 5 prescription medications, you're not going to be here at 75. And all my patients who are 90 to 103, what's the only thing they have in common? They don't take any prescriptions. But see, that'll never be covered because CNN and Fox News are publicly traded. They sell
Right.
commercials.
Yeah.
They sell ads. And if you say, we just got a big contract to sell a prescription pill, and then you're the journalist, I want to do a story on how this is killing tens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Guess what happens?
They'll buy that story and kill it.
Yeah, yeah. So it's but anyway.
It's interesting.
But your reviews. So you're really philosophical, and usually the greatest comedy. I did stand-up comedy for years.
You did?
I've done every comedy
No
club
way.
in Arizona.
Awesome. 5
times or more. I love stand-up, but they say the greatest comedy comes from pain.
Yes.
The greatest philosophers, like all the people who wrote our Constitution and everything, they lived through what it was like not having a leader with checks and balances. They lived through absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So usually when I meet a what kind of soul would I call it? Not a young soul. What do I always call that person?
What are you talking about?
When someone's really philosophical.
An old soul.
An old soul, yeah. An old soul. You don't ever want to use the word old to a woman. But whenever I use the word, whenever I say wise beyond years, an old soul, it always comes from pain.
Yeah.
So you must have had a life of a lot of pain to have these many deep thoughts.
Well, I mean,
about so many things.
I'm a consumer of information. I can't help. I've always read for as long as I've known, as much as I could. Anything I can get my hands on, I read. And I want to learn everything there is to know. And that's what I love about dentistry, is that it's always changing. It's always forward thinking. It's dynamic. We're trying new technologies all the time. We're totally going towards evidence-based dentistry now. Like, that's the trend, is what we're learning at Midwestern is evidence-based. Like, we want to know why we're doing this and how it's affecting. And I don't know that I've had a lot of pain in my life. I've just had, I've always consumed a lot of information.
And evidence-based country, like America talks about truth, liberty, and justice, and really America's about money's the answer, what's the question?
Right.
Like you look at Germany. I mean, they're evident. The most advanced countries in dentistry, I've lectured in all the top rich countries, every continent but Antarctica, because penguins still care what I have to say. The oral surgeons today, it's Germany, Liechtenstein, and Austria, and they, which used to be all Greater Germany or whatever. But anyway, they're pulling like only 1/3 the wisdom teeth they pulled 30 years ago.
Yeah.
Americans pull all 4 your wisdom teeth because they exist.
Because why? Why
I don't
not?
have any
They're
tonsils.
there.
I don't have any tonsils.
Right.
You know why?
Yeah.
Because in 1962 there was an insurance code that paid thousands to remove tonsils. So first time my mama took me, or my 5 sisters to the doctor with a sore throat, what do? They put me under and ripped out all my tonsils. I don't need that. And so if there was no insurance code for removing tonsils in the 60s and adenoids, guess what I'd have?
You would have your tonsils.
Yeah, I mean, so basically, what year did Röntgen come out with the X-ray machine? November 8th, 1985? 1895. And what was his first name? Wilhelm Conrad. But when Röntgen developed the X-ray, and by the way, that was a sad story because he died from that. Did you know that?
Was he the guy in the textbooks with his hand?
He kept X-raying his hand.
Yeah.
And then he got hand cancer.
Right.
And he couldn't kill the pain with opioids. And back then, all the meds were, all the potions were a mixture of heroin, cocaine,
poppy seed,
alcohol, stuff. So he finally put a bullet through his head.
Oh, no.
Yeah. But anyway, that came out in 1895. So when was the first dental insurance? It was right after World War II. People say that war is good for the economy. Yeah, if you blow up all your competition. So the only people making stuff was Germany and Japan, and somewhat Italy, and it was all leveled. So if you wanted to buy a washing machine, a dryer, or a car, it was only the United States. So it was the biggest economic shift. In fact, it was a bigger economic shift to America than it was then to the Middle East when they discovered all this abundant oil. And so, but still people believe that war is good for the economy.
Yeah.
Well, how's that Iraq and Afghanistan working out for you?
Right.
But he came out with that X-ray in 1895. So the insurance company started in 3 years after World War II. The Longshoremen's Club Union controlled everything that was shipped in and out of the country. And they were making bank, and they had the muscle, and they said, give us dental insurance. Well, that was 1948, and no dentist had this X-ray machine that was taken in 1895. So what is that, I took calculus and trig and geometry. 48 minus 1895. 53! But the point is, 53 years, half a century, no dentist needed an x-ray machine.
Yeah.
And then they come out with this longshoreman's insurance, which eventually up in the Oregon, Washington area, which eventually turned into Delta Dental.
Oh.
And they covered 100% of x-rays.
Okay.
So guess what every dentist bought?
An x-ray machine.
I mean, it was like a domino effect.
Yeah.
The dealer just had to walk in there and say, do you know if you buy this machine, the insurance will pay 100%? And Ryan, what was 1,000... Go to an inflation calculator. What was $1,000 in 1948 in real and constant dollars from $1,000 in 2018?
It's going to be depressing.
$1,000 in 1948
Would be worth
basically $10,000. $9,958.80.
$9,958.
Yep.
That would be a great meme for you to make today. Say, do you know when dental insurance was started in 1948? The maximum was $1,000. In 2018, that would be $9,958.
That's crazy.
And then also do another calculation. I graduated in 1987 with $87,000 in student loans. What would that be in 2018?
$183,808. So basically $184,000.
That's not bad. I'd pay that.
So what will your student loan debt be?
It'll be about $500,000.
It'll be $500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you got this new Manwich guy. He'll.
Yeah, well.
Is he going to start paying for
I'm
your
an
school?
independent woman.
You're an independent one. So basically, the bottom line is behavior is very incentivized.
Mm-hmm.
So the American men will pull all four of your wisdom teeth because they exist, and they all bought insurance machines because, like you could take America off the grid. Like these people that are like another political thing that's just silly. When all these Democrats are talking about how concerned they are with global warming.
Right.
Well, that's a total lie. They're not concerned at all. I mean, right now, 20% of your electricity was was nuclear. You could have scaled during in anybody's 4-year presidency, and when Obama was elected, he had a Democratic Senate, Congress. You could have scaled 20% nuclear to 100% like that. But they said, no, we're not going to do nuclear. We're going to do solar. So, okay, well, solar and wind's not even 1%. So you're going to go from 1% solar to 100% when you're already at 20% nuclear, and there's countries like France that are almost all nuclear. So see, when you say you're Bill Maher and you're so concerned about global warming, but you won't do the obvious nuclear. So you want to do solar. Well, how's that work at night? You want to do wind. How's that work when the wind's not blowing? You got nuclear. Let's go. Every nuclear power plant in existence. By the way, the largest nuclear power production facility is the one we got. Did you know that?
Verde?
Yeah, and it's got 3 reactors. It's the biggest one in the United States. In fact, you could just, I mean, every nuclear power plant that exists, you could just say, okay, make 4 more across the street, the exact same plant, and we'll be off all coal, gas, oil. They didn't want to do that. And then if they really wanted solar, just like dentists, nobody had an insurance machine. If the government said your payment, your electric bill is, say, $100 a month, and so here's a company, we'll put all solar, and that $100 a month payment will be 7 years, and in 7 years, the same electric payment you're paying, and in 7 years, it'll be paid for, and then you're off the grid.
Yeah.
Did they do any of that?
Well, we were kind of, yeah.
Well, I mean, when they have so many obvious solutions in front of them to do anything, and they never do anything. The biggest paradox for me is that if you ask anybody, well, why is this the greatest, richest, most powerful country in the world? They say, well, because for 500 years, people voted with their feet and moved here from every country on earth, and that person is very motivated, has an idea. I mean, to leave the country you were born in, you are motivated and passionate. That's what made America great again. Okay, great, so then open back up Ellis Island. Oh, hell no. No immigrants today. So if there was no immigration, we would be a country just like Venezuela. We'd have a country of 50 million Native American Indians.
Right.
Would that be the greatest country in the world? You needed the Italians, the Spanish, the Germans, the Chinese.
Yeah.
You needed the brain drain of everybody. Why is Japan declining? Because their population is declining, no one will immigrate there. The whole country was built on immigration, and then what are all the politicians? Against immigration. So humans are, in fact, I'm convinced at 55 years old, I'm the only normal person in America.
I feel the same way.
Guaranteed you. Are you normal too?
I'm one of you.
We should start the normal admiration club.
You guys.
There's only 2 members that have been invited.
I'm the president.
You're the president? Okay, I'm the CEO. No, I'm the chairman of the board.
Yeah.
No. But Scott, we're on so many. This is where I'm at. My physicians are all women.
Right
Because
on.
number one, it's the only legal place I can go to give a woman money and take all my clothes off without getting arrested. And but no, if my woman, you know the scariest thought, the scariest statement I've ever had, when I asked a very good friend of mine, physician, I said, "Look, I'm 55, I'm fat, I'm bald, I got a belly.
All downhill from here.
I should go get my my heart checked out.
Definitely.
Maybe I need a stent or something like that." And you know what he said to me? He goes, "Dude," he goes, "you're 55, you're fat, you're a grandpa. Every single cardiologist will just stick stents in there." Mm-hmm. I don't know anyone who would actually really only do it if you really needed it.
Yeah.
Because everyone else would say, well, he's rich, he's a dentist, he's got insurance, he's fat, he's bald, he's old.
It's a ticket.
Shit, yeah, he needs 4 stents. Mm-hmm. He goes, I can't really think of anyone that I can honestly say would tell you the truth. And I thought, God dang.
They did it.
So what do I trust? Women.
Yeah.
I mean, so your natural maternal instincts, and I'm serious.
Yeah.
I mean, women call that sex as well.
No, it's not.
If you don't believe in maternal instincts, you're kind of not right in the head. I mean, a female cheetah has never been seen eating her cubs. A male cheetah, when he runs out of food and he hasn't caught anything for 3 days, eats his children. So do lions. So do tigers. A female polar bear, when she has her baby, the first thing she has to do is ditch her husband, because why would he chase a seal if Domino's has delivered a pizza right inside the cave, and he'll just eat his own baby? Uh-huh. So do you agree that you have maternal instincts?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Do you believe it translates into more empathy and sympathy?
Yeah, I would say so. But
so more trust?
Yeah, I don't know necessarily that it's like a maternal as in mother. I think it's more just like being a woman. You have a different experience. It's kind of like we're living in 2 different worlds, men and women. We walk through the same space, but we're not treated the same way. We're not, reacted to the same way. But going back to your heart stent thing, they did a study this year that they did a sham surgery, half and half.
Sham surgery.
They put the person under that they were going to get a stent put in. Half of them they put the stent in, half of them they didn't. And there was no difference in how the patients felt afterward. So that wasn't done in the U.S. I can't remember where it was done.
Well, I did go get my heart examined, and he
That's
just
good.
took one look at it and said, "You were divorced, right?"
You're
He
free.
said, "Dude, your heart is messed up bad."
Oh, you know what? You can actually die from a broken heart. That was a thing. I read about that.
The FDA approved that oxytocin drug, which is the love hormone.
Okay. Yeah, I hadn't seen that. But we were doing cardiovascular systems last week, and I was reading about different heart
I
disorders.
am going to remarry someday, but I'm waiting for artificial intelligence and the robot.
There you go.
I'm going to
So
marry a
easier.
droid. I'm not marrying a monkey without a tail ever again. I'm waiting for that perfect droid.
Yeah.
She's just going to be, and you just sit there and take your remote and turn
And
it
then
off.
she's going to turn on you.
Rewind. Yeah, she'll turn on me. Yeah, I do believe that theory.
Yeah.
I believe the only thing humans will be responsible for in the big picture is that we were the connection between the biological and the electronic droid. I mean, right now, everything we have out there on other planets on the solar system, they're all droids. And as soon as that droid can think 50,000 times faster or better than us and has opposing thumbs or whatever, they will get rid of
That's
us.
it for us.
Because, I mean, what is more likely, that you send a droid across the galaxy or a human monkey
Right, yeah.
that only lives 100 years and has to carry a baby for 9 months I totally believe that, and a lot of people do. Elon Musk does. A lot of it's so obvious. If you really think that humans will be smarter than droids 1,000 years from now, you're out of your freaking mind.
Yeah.
And as soon as they can play you, you're gone.
Yeah.
So we're just the intermediate between a mouse that survived the Great Extinction and the droids who will. I mean, right now you have a Tesla
Yeah, Starman.
And you know it's driven by a male because it's totally lost driving outside the solar system and he won't ask for directions.
That was so cool though, wasn't it? Did you see the footage from the car when he's floating around and you can see the Earth in the background behind him? You've got to watch it. It's so cool.
Yeah,
they
I've seen it, yeah.
4 hours of the camera on the Tesla and it was amazing.
And now Elon Musk and Bill Gates, they came out with a new Viagra pill. Did you see that? No. It's called Elongates. And so God,
you gotta go back to stand-up.
Oh the problem I can't do stand-up is I don't have any clean jokes.
Well, that's perfect for stand-up.
Every dental joke I have, I couldn't even say it on my own podcast.
I know, it's terrible.
I'd run off half my. And plus the problem, I got to be clean on my podcast. So many dentists say, dude, I'm always listening in the car and I'm taking my kids to school.
They're learning new words.
Come on, dude, lighten up. So remember that, Ryan, when you're editing. If you hear anything bad, it's Ryan. And he didn't hear the bad joke because he's dead inside, working with his dad. He no longer even cares. What's it like? What % of your class is a single parent with kids?
Oh, I think just me.
Just
actually,
you?
Yeah, there's a few.
You Uniqua.
Yeah.
Not unique. That's not unique enough. I'm going to call you Nicole Uniqua.
There we go. Yeah.
So, what's that like?
It's interesting.
Do you have family help? I mean, you have mom, dad, sisters, ex-husband. Are they all helping?
Well, my ex-husband has my kids half the time, so I have week on, week off with my girls, and my partner Will is his name. He is really, really helpful. Like, he's the guy that takes care of the house.
So he's gay.
he's androgynous.
He's androgynous.
There you go. Yeah, and he's my biggest supporter. And
nice.
he has
his name's Will?
Yeah, he has a master's in psychology. And so
that'd be great.
We have fantastic conversations, and he's always willing to listen to what I've learned in school that day, and we're just sharing experiences from our day all the time, and he's a good sounding board for me. And I have 5 siblings, like you said in the intro. A couple of them are in town. My mom and dad live in Mesa, and we talk.
So they left Shoalo too?
Yeah, everybody left.
So your dad's a retired dentist, or is he still practicing?
He's retired. He actually has Alzheimer's disease, so he's...
And how old was he when he got that?
He's 72 now, and it was about 8 years ago when it was
early.
Starting to, yeah.
So 64.
Yeah, and we all thought my mom was going to get it because she had 2 sisters that had it, and when my dad got it and not her, it was like, oh, we didn't, because my dad was brilliant. He practically had photographic memory. He was like me. He read all the time, but it was just, it's the worst disease. If you want to bring down a room, tell someone that your dad has Alzheimer's. It's so depressing, but none of us ever want to think about what's going to happen. It's terrifying.
But he's okay. I mean, it's not like he's suffering.
Yeah, he's not. He's not suffering.
Everybody's suffering around it.
Right.
My friend Mike Murphy always pointed me out. He runs a rehab center for Down syndrome.
Oh, okay.
They're the happiest people in the world.
Yeah.
Other people are so sad for it. It's like, dude, they're happy. They're out on the swing set getting graham crackers for us. So they're happy.
Yeah. Well, and my dad, it's resetting, every 10 seconds. But I would imagine it's probably scary if you are in a place and you don't know where you are, or, but then 10 seconds later, it's resetting again anyway.
So does he know who you are now?
He did the last time I went to see him about 2 months ago, but my brother went to see him last week and he didn't recognize my nieces. So it's starting, that's kind of like the first question that people ask when they hear about someone with Alzheimer's is just, do they remember you? And
so he was the first in his family to get it? There was no family history?
His sister has it now as well, and she's about 5 years older than him. But before that, we didn't, it's strokes and stuff like that before. So a lot of times people in the past in my family were dying from other things before Alzheimer's could get, a foothold. But
so another thing about we're talking about what's different with girls. You have an interest for community health.
I do.
You're interested in pursuing a non-profit situation. Why don't you man up and go for the profit? Just
I do want to do both. I want to do both because I don't know if there's a way that you can do one all the way. I don't know if you can do a community health all the way. I mean, there are people that do it. I have a cousin who has a nonprofit currently, and she's about 10 years older than me, and she just had a experience last year where she had an underlying infection in her teeth. A lot of her teeth were root canal treated. She had been, several years without having any x-rays, and all of a sudden she had a toothache, and all of her teeth all her posterior teeth had to be extracted. And it was super life-changing for her because she didn't know that could happen. It was going to be, $30,000. And right away, just to extract all the teeth and do bone grafts, it was $5,000. She's like 50 years old, and where am I going to come up with $5,000 tomorrow? And she's not poor, but it was just this epiphany that she had. So she approached me when I was about to start dental school and said, let's get this going, because she realized this is a problem, and she has the nonprofit experience. I have no nonprofit experience whatsoever, but I'll be having dental experience.
But I got to call checks and balance on that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the opposing side.
Yeah, please.
The great thing about dentistry is like, okay, a root canal bill, I'm kind of say, well, I only got $2,500.
Yeah.
Well, then extract it for $150. I mean, you have at age 65, at age 64 for the actual data from the CDC, 10% of Americans don't have one tooth in their head. Mm-hmm. Times 2 is missing half. By 74, 20%. What if I have no teeth in their head? I have so many denture wearers where I've said to them, when I started placing implants, trained with Carl Misch, this is back in the late 80s, to get experience, I was always asking people at dentures, well, I will do your implant case. Mm-hmm. I'll do it free. I'll admit to you that I haven't done any yet. And I'll do yours for free or whatever. And some of them were family members.
Yeah.
Uncles, cousins, mm-hmm. whatever. I could barely get any takers.
Really?
I've been a dentist. Okay, so I don't know where you're from. By the way, send me an email, howard@dentaltown.com, and tell me who you are, where you're from, why you watch the show. By the way, I've gotten emails from every continent, every country. It's this is such an amazing technology. Mm-hmm. But so many of them said to me, Howard, I eat corn in the cob. I can eat flipping anything. And one of the most romantic things about dentistry is if you have cancer and you don't have any insurance, you want to go to the best doctor in town. Let's say you go to Mayo. Mm-hmm. You need $100,000.
Right.
But there's no alternative treatment. But in dentistry, there's all on four, 25,000 at ARCs, mm-hmm. $50,000. Or you can go to Denture World in downtown Mesa and get dentures for $500.
Yeah.
So a lot of I understand in the healthcare debate, one of the reasons I blow total smoke on the healthcare debate is only about 5% of the whole healthcare budget is actually insurance. Where, you have auto insurance mm-hmm. in case you wreck your car. Well, how many people in your dental school class have totaled their car this year? Hardly anyone totals their car. We all have house insurance, mm-hmm. but hardly anybody. We all have fire insurance in our house. I've lived in Ahwatukee 30 years. I've only seen 3 houses burned down. Mm-hmm. And all 3 of them were women dentists smoking in bed with vodka that caught fire. All 3. And so insurance is we're going to spread around the risk.
Yeah.
And it's an actuarial risk analysis versus the moral hazard of lying, cheating, and making a false claim. Well, in healthcare, so everybody's covered. So then what do you start covering? Oh, we'll cover all your exams, all your visits, all your wellness. So my little baby has snot, so I'm going to take you to the emergency room. Right. The doctor says, well, it's snot, mm-hmm. have her blow her nose. It's a virus. So but when someone falls down and breaks a leg, they get cancer. They actually have a big claim that they didn't see coming. So if you went to health insurance and made all the routine stuff have a 5% copayment, like Medicaid, Medicare, mm-hmm. It's growing crazily because they have no copayment. So if they have no copayment, no one's shopping around prices. If you went to a 5% copayment, and they told mom, oh, you need an artificial hip. It's $50,000, and you're 5%. What's 5% of $50,000?
$2,500.
You're good.
That was an easy one.
50,000
The years one was
times
hard.
0.05. Damn good. You just have a younger, faster mind.
Yeah.
But you said your copay was $2,500.
Yeah.
Half the hips in America say, "Screw it, I ain't paying $2,500. I'll
Right.
take ibuprofen.
I'll just get a wheelchair.
No, they'll take ibuprofen.
Right.
They'll take
Yeah.
whatever. And that would totally cut Medicaid and Medicare. But does anybody try to control costs? No, they get
No.
tax cuts. And we have $20 trillion in debt when the roosters are going to come home to nest.
Oh, yeah.
When I got my ASU at MBA, the one thing every PhD economist taught me is that deficit, it's not a matter of if that
Right.
bond bubble will pop.
It's when.
It's when.
Yeah.
There's no question if. But so when they say they want to cut the deficit, well, do they have a 5% copayment on Medicaid, Medicare? And then they say, well, you can have a 5% copayment on these Medicaid clinics or on the Indian reservation. What are you, a Nazi? And then I'm a practice manager, and I go there and I go to every clinic that's totally free in Arizona. And guess what the number one problem is? 50% no-show.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
can't even
probably.
call and cancel their appointment. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's not about right or wrong. It's how do you
Yeah.
manage people.
Exactly.
And if you said, oh, well, to make an appointment for your free cleaning,
Yeah.
exam, x-ray, everything, on the Medicaid clinic, the Medicare clinic, the Indian Public Health Service, you need to give me $5. They say, screw that. Then they walk across the street and buy a pack of Marlboro Light for $9. And a 12-pack of Coors Light is exactly... Oh, don't play dumb on me,
$11.99
Nicole. Don't play dumb on me, Nicole. And I found a dime bag in her purse, and now she doesn't know what a case of Michelob
I don't even
Light
know
costs.
what that is.
But the point is, it's not right or wrong. It's how
Yeah.
you manage people.
Well,
It's like
yeah.
in my dental office. If you don't have a bonus system, why are you expecting your dental assistant to dive for the ball out of bounds and throw it back in when she's paid like a communist?
Mm-hmm.
You will get $10 a day, no matter what the hell happens.
Yeah.
Well, it's not right or wrong. That's just not how you manage people.
Yeah.
If you want to manage people without a bonus system, then go to a communist socialist country. You know, you need a bonus system. Poor people need to have skin in the game.
Yeah.
At this point, I don't even know what the question was that we're talking about.
Well, we were talking about nonprofit.
Yeah,
And
nonprofit.
I think that you have a really good point there. There's definitely something to not getting something for free because there's no value in it to that person. They have to,
They won't
They
value
do
it.
have to have a skin in the game.
Right.
And I'm not about to just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to go do free dentistry all the time. That's not anything that
And in health, in dentistry, the people who want free, they want a Mercedes-Benz.
Right.
Like they're like, oh my God, I didn't know this happened. Someone else should pay for this.
Yeah.
My employer, the government, a nonprofit, give me a Mercedes-Benz now. We'll say no, but you can take the bus. It's called a denture. And they're like, well, I don't want to take the bus. I want a Lexus. So, you know, it's irrational expectations.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And then, you know, there has to be, if you pay for something, you're going to treat it better. You know,
Right.
like I have kids. If I buy them something, they don't care. They're going to break it. They're going to lose it. They're going to get a stain on it. If they buy it, it is precious cargo. They are taking good care of it. So I definitely believe that if you're getting something, you should have an investment in it. You're going to brush your teeth more if you paid for your fillings.
Right.
Whereas opposed to if you just got them for free, then
So it's
Whatever.
so what it's interesting is like when people say, well, are you conservative, liberal, this? Humans are very multifactorial. And you need a little bit of psychology, a little bit of fatherly love, motherly love. You need a little bit of economics.
Yeah.
You need this very multifactorial deal to manage your staff, your relationships with your parents, your family, your
Yes.
team, your patients. It's
Yeah.
so complex. But I've been calling successful dentists walking out of dental school for 3 decades. You're going to crush it.
oh,
No, you will.
thank you.
I've never told the dentists they're going to crush me. They didn't crush
Really?
me because
Aw.
if you get the people stuff right, that's how you manage your staff. And you treat your staff right, they treat your patients right.
Yeah.
They communicate the treatment. It's not about selling you dentistry. I'm just
Yeah.
going to totally empathetically explain where you're at. So then they're more likely to ask questions, engage, and buy. You're going to
Absolutely.
absolutely crush it.
Thank you.
And as far as nonprofits go, the first DVD player came out at $800, and it sucked. And 4 or 5 years later, it was $200 and was a lot better. Now they're perfect at $35. And I think the best charitable dentistry is just going into any community and doing dentistry faster, easier, higher quality, lower cost.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And the thing about charitable dentistry in America is, like, for instance, I'll tell you this. Poor women will come into my office. I'm in Phoenix. I'm across the street from the Guadalupe Indian Reservation.
Sure.
When I've gone over there several times over the last 30 years and ran into patients when their house had dirt floors. And they come in there and you think they have no money, so you tell them, okay, well, the silver filling is only $100 in the last 38 years. The tooth-colored one is $200 in the last 6.5 years.
Right.
She's got a dirt floor.
Yeah.
And what does she buy? The tooth-colored. And then her dad comes in and needs a root canal, build-up and crown. He laughs. He doesn't care if he's missing a tooth. Every one of his brothers and grandfathers and uncles is missing a damn tooth.
Yeah.
And the girl, you tell her you're going to pull a tooth that's visible, she'll start crying.
Yeah.
And then the dad's like, oh, dang it. And he pulls out a wad of cash this thick. Because the little girl in Guadalupe, I don't care if she's on a dirt floor, she's in a dress, she's beautiful, she's got bows in her hair, and she gets root canal. Now, so when you go to really poor countries, like go to the Philippines, the women all root canal, build-up, and PFM, canine to canine, upper and lower, have no back teeth. The men just pull them all.
Yeah, because it doesn't matter.
And when you
They
pull
gotta
them all,
smile.
like when I found out, I always thought, we were talking about is Alzheimer's genetics. You're never going to believe this, but my dad is short, fat, and bald. And so they don't care. So in poor countries, there's no man in Vietnam who gives a shit that he lost a tooth, whether it's visible or not. They just don't care because everybody they know is like that. But the girls in the middle tier countries in economic development, in Philippines, Vietnam, Cambodia, only the women get root canals, build-up, and crowns, so they only do the front 6 teeth. And when they look in that two-dimensional mirror, that's fine. And it reminds me of the girls in Kansas. They always looked in the mirror. The front of their hair would be perfect, and then the back have like a bird's nest in it and be like eggs and squirrels running around. So they look at their front teeth, they see Kiara, and they think they look perfect. And so what are you gonna do when you graduate?
I don't know yet.
Are you thinking specialty, non-specialty?
No, I really like all the different aspects of dentistry. Like when I was a dental assistant, I was assisting for general dentists, so I got to be an assistant on root canals, on oral surgery, on not a lot of ortho or anything, but I love doing it all, and I feel like a specialty I would be missing out on the other aspects of it, and I'm old. So,
You're old. I thought you said you were, can I say your age?
Yeah.
41.
41. So.
Dude, I'm 54.
Time is of
the
the
essence.
essence.
I was 14 years old when you were born, so don't tell me you're old.
But it's like.
You probably don't look at me as old. You probably look at me as dead. You're like, this guy should get
Weekend
a
at
Grammy. He's a
Bernie's.
dead man, and he's still talking.
No, I just want to.
So you don't want to be a
hit the road.
specialty because you like doing it all.
I like doing it all. Yeah, I want to do root canals. I want to do molar root canals. I want to do wisdom tooth extractions if needed. I want to do implants really badly. I am excited that they're allowing the dental students at Midwestern to place implants. It's pretty cool. So I'm ready to do that.
And talking about weirdness, when I got out of school, when I was in dental school, the one oral surgeon placing implants, back then it was blades, ramus frames, subperial. They outwardly talked about him as the butcher.
Oh.
And then when I got into dental school, the guys doing all the blades and subs and implants, first case that went bad, they'd take their license away. Oh. I mean, and now 30 years later, it's kind of like two other subjects. We don't want to get into politics, sex, religion, but when I was little, you could leave Catholic Mass and hear guys joking about last night they went to the park and beat up gay people or smoking pot. I mean, if they caught you drunk with a bottle of Jack Daniels. Ryan has a relative, we both do, where he was ran over by a drunk driver at age 6, but it was in 1962. He didn't even get a ticket.
Oh, jeez.
You could beat up gay people and you go to jail for marijuana. Now, marijuana is legal in half a dozen states and gay people can get married. So tides change, and one of the biggest tides that changed my life not only was marijuana and homosexuals getting married. I mean, if you would have asked me that And when I graduated high school in 1980, if those two things ever be legal, I would have laughed at you. Like, what are you, an idiot? So I don't really believe in leaders to begin with. That when the people change their mind, say they were all going left, following that guy, and the herd stops, they see a wolf, they turn around, they run the other way. Well, whatever guy's standing there say, oh, he's a great leader. No, he's not. There was no great leader in 1980 that could convince America to legalize weed and gay marriage. And when I got out of school, placing implants, you were a whack job, you were a butcher, and you really need to have your license taken away. And that's what they did. And I think of so many of those pioneers. I know one man in town who, when they did that, went from being a very successful millionaire dentist to living in a trailer in Apache Junction.
Oh, dang.
Now explain to them what Apache Junction is.
You drive by it on the way to the mountain.
I mean, what percent of the trailer parks in Apache Junction have at least one working meth lab?
I know. I don't know. It's all
Come on, you
opioids
buy
these
meth
days.
in Apache Junction. Now she's denying buying meth in Apache Junction. Just
Apache
come
Junction.
clean, come clean. But the bottom line is, again, I don't really believe in leadership. I really believe that when the herd realizes that they're running toward the cliff, they always get to the very edge of the cliff and look down, and they say, wow, we really shouldn't go that way. And then they turn around and run the other way, full speed ahead. So it's very interesting,
but we're placing implants now, and that's exciting.
It's placing implants now, and to hear 30 years later that you're in dental school and they're placing implants, it's like, God, what a long journey I've been on. I mean, 30 years ago, you'd be sitting in an endo class, a restorative class, and the lecturer guy is openly bad-mouthing the one guy in the oral surgery department placing implants. It's like, and you're wondering, cringing, like, would he say that in front of his face?
I know.
I mean, he just said it to 120 students. You know it's going to get back to him.
Yeah, the rumor mill is very
And so,
strong.
of course, I ran up there and told the guy, and it's tough. And a lot of times they were wrong back then, like when they were doing TMJ disc replacements, when people had TMJ. And they came out of LSU by one of the most famous oral surgeons ever. I'm not going to say it to tarnish his name. Turned out that little artificial disc disintegrated and was showing up all over the body. They'd find it in kneecaps with macrophages around, and the lawsuits went crazy. I mean, I don't even know how many millions of dollars LSU lost in lawsuits from that
They were
one.
just opening it up and putting a new...
Yeah, they were taking out the disc and replacing it. Because, I mean, you got TMJ, you got bone on bone, so they put in a fake one. Remember, and breast implants?
Yeah.
It was kind of that same type of thinking, which, by the way, turned out to be totally safe.
Totally fine.
Yeah, and by the way, these are not breast implants. I am all natural. I get so mad when people accuse me of having a bunch of cosmetic surgery and breast implants. I'm all natural, and I want to tell you my one of the problems I have.
Let's hear it.
When you said that, all men. All the dentists were men, and all the women were. On
your townie thing.
We're doing full circle all the way back
there. You go.
Even though you're a woman dentist now in America, and you marry a male dentist, guess who still does the homework, the cooking, the cleaning? And we have been on a mission to get more editorial, online CE, and lectures by women, and most of the women, unless they're single or their kids left home, like, dude, I'm doing both torches. I'm the super mom.
Yeah.
I'm working during the day, and at night I got to do all this. And I said, what about your husband? He goes, he's an oral surgeon. He doesn't do shit around the house. I tell him to do my kids' homework, and he says, my mom and dad never helped me with my homework. I mean, I don't even have the balls big enough when I was little to go to my dad and say, would you help me with my homework? He would. I don't know if he would have laughed or slapped me.
That's toxic masculinity, Howard.
Yeah, I mean,
it's right there.
I couldn't even have asked him for that.
Right.
I mean, it would just have been the stupidest question on earth. So now she's married to a prosthodontist, and he's like, well, my mom and dad never helped me with my homework, and I'm a prosthodontist. So it's tough. So to tell you the truth, we want more editorial. In fact, you live in the town of Dental Town. I hope someday you go visit it and meet with editorial.
Yeah.
I hope someday you get more involved with our media company, because We have always been trying to recruit women, and I think you're a superwoman.
Thank you.
I do. This was love at first tweet. And I want to tell you, Nicole, thank you so much for driving an hour down to the poor part of town. She's in Rich Glendale, where they have football arenas and hockey arenas. And did you pack
Trickle
a
down
gun?
economy.
Did you have to carry a gun when you knew you were going to have to drive through Phoenix? Did you like roll the window down and have your side shooter out? But thank you so much for coming down. I totally enjoyed podcasting. It was an honor to podcast you. I hope you have a rockin' hot day.
Thank you.